everyone. Thank you for joining this event. And I'm super excited to be here both as an organizer and a speaker. And this talk will be about technical documentation. How can I write them better and why should I care? And when I say I of course also mean you. So first of all, hi, I'm Hila Fish. I'm a senior DevOps engineer and I work for Wix. I have 15 years of experience in the tech industry. I'm a co-organizer, as mentioned several times by now in 10 seconds. And I have a lot of things to say about myself, but I have only 10 minutes to cover this topic. So let's get right to it. So I believe that anyone can and should write technical documentation because in the middle of the night, when I have a production incident and I have a runbook that helped me solve any issues, I really don't care if the document and the runbook is written in a fabulous English or a broken one, as long as it is helpful and concise and clear and helps me solve the issue. This is all I care about. So the knowledge is what matters here. So please pass the knowledge forward. So a lot of things that we can write can be considered as a technical documentation. And I like to say that if you can automate it, document it. So system logical design, of course, but also on-call runbooks, as I mentioned, code readmes, onboarding documents, project planning doc, and even Slack pin messages. If you have information to deliver, these can also be considered as technical documentation, and that's awesome. And if you can't write everything, that's okay. Nobody can write everything, so please just focus on whatever platform that feel best for you. So now I have a question for you people. This sentence, if you ever said this sentence before or heard this sentence before, please raise your hand. That's it? I think you're lying. But okay. So in my entire career, yeah, there's some smiling here, so he knows he's lying. So in my entire career, I heard a lot of this sentence that, hey, my code is self-documented, so I don't need to write further documentation. Just read the code and know what it's about. The code tells the story. It's not the case. It never is the case. So just, we need to document our intentions, reasoning, even code legacy that is not very clear what's going on there. We need to document it in order to understand what's going on. So let's understand why write technical documents. So first of all, to reduce your work volume. And you might say, hey, if I spend time on documents, then it doesn't reduce my work volume because I spend time on it. It wastes time, right? So think about it in the long run. In my previous company, I had approaches to me like 7 or 8 times a day. How do I troubleshoot pods in Kubernetes? How do I do this? How do I do that? I gathered all the repetitive questions and then I created a document of tips and tricks by DevOps. I delivered it to them, went over all the entire document, and then afterwards I got approached only 1-2 times a day. So in the long run, it will be awesome to have this document because it will save you time later on. Self-service enablement to increase the velocity. I did a migration project from Bitbucket to GitLab. And nobody knew GitLab, so I created a document how to work with it, GitLab and do some stuff with it. And I helped dev adopt it faster because of that. Onboarding docs as well, right? Because it helps them. You don't need someone to be with you. You just do things on your own. Docs with troubleshooting and even Slack bots that help you with Q&A can help with the velocity and to have self-service enablement. Eliminate production incidents quicker. As I said, you don't need to, if you have a runbook, you can decrease MTTR, help the company meet their SLAs, etc. And avoid single point of failure or bottleneck, which is you, right? Because do you really want to go on vacation and still be available for work calls, or do you want to go on vacation with a clear head? And I will say it here, job security is dead, okay? Please share your knowledge. Another thing is that it will help make things clear for you or the future you, because once you structure things and write them down in a clear manner, it will organize it in your mind as well. And visibility, attract focus to the things that you do at work. It will, in turn, will help progress your career. And the last thing is that it will help you understand why are we doing things in a certain way? Why do they choose to put certificates here or do any things in any manner? And it will help you defend the decisions that we are taking and communicate them to others. And also it will develop your business mindset. It will make you a better engineer. And why? Because always asking why will result in you striving for the best implementation or solution possible. So now that we cover the why, let's understand the how. How to write a technical document without being a technical writer, because none of us are technical writers, and that's okay. So first of all, we need to know our audience. if the document that we write is for internal use, like system design, or external use, like API documentation. So based on your audience, you will know what needs to be covered and to which extent. Then we need to understand what do we write about. So for internal use, write, it's how to speak quickly. Write about things that you worked on while working on them, right? Because we remember things better while they're fresh in our mind. Things that bugged you. When I did the migration for GitLab, I actually documented how to open a ticket to support to prevent the ping pong between me and them and save time for the company. So anything that bugged you, document it as well. Things that aren't clear or straightforward. So I use the GitLab DB version X. Why did I use this version if it's not the default one, right? And also, if the code is not clear, explain the flow with describing actual functions. For external use, write what it is about, possible use cases, and quick start, any quirks, things to consider when using this X, and examples, both simple and complex, to help your user as much as possible. The next phase is to decide or abide upon documentation type, because some companies still use documents in Confluence or any other knowledge-based app, or some companies progress to the next level, as I like to call it, Docs as code, which allows you to interact with Docs in IDE. And basically, Docs are fully integrated in the dev toolchain, and the developers don't need to leave the IDE in order to write documents, which is awesome for our developers. So either you decide because you're a decision maker, or decide upon, or just abide upon whatever you got. So these are general content guidelines. So for any writing documentation, so first of all, you need to have table of contents. It is essential for content discovery. Why? Because of this user flow. I actually found an article from 1997 stating that people don't read documents; they scan them. Okay, so whenever you want to write something or you need something, you search for it. That's why you need to have meaningful titles and subheadings to help your user find what they're looking for. Then the user will scan the document, check if whatever is needed is there. If so, great, they will get the result. If not, they will navigate to somewhere else. That's why you need to put links as much as possible, because you want to think about it like microservices. Every document is on its own, but eventually, if someone needs to read further or do something else, you can have links, and then they'll have the full picture. Another thing is highlights. So use bold to emphasize anything that is important. And in regards to colors, it is a bit controversial because some people have accessibility issues. But I found that in my experience, people, only when I put stuff in red, then the developers like, oh, okay. So just have that in mind. Words and sentences, okay? Use short words and more sentences rather than longer words and fewer sentences, because we want to help our audience skim through the document faster and easier. And please use simple English, okay? Don't try to be Shakespeare, okay? It's just write simple American English that non-English speakers can easily understand. Let's cover a bit about Docs as code and why it's so great. So it is using Markdown. Markdown is actually for the win, right? Because it is allowing you to have table of contents and highlights, colors too. It is plain text, so it is human readable. It is easy to write and diff, and it is platform agnostic. You can use it wherever and whenever you want. The documents the folder is in the same code repo, so the docs are integrated in the dev toolchain, and the developers don't need to leave the IDE. You can do PR review for the documents to make sure the document is in a high quality and that the document actually exists. And you can even do CI/CD for documents. There's an awesome tool called Docosaurus, which allows you to both push code to a frontend to see the docs in a UI portal, but also to have versioning for the documents, make sure there are no broken links, linters, validations, etc. So that's that. The next phase of writing a technical document is to remember your audience, because we said we need to know them, now we need to remember them. So we need to have user flow in mind in and between sections, and to have a certain order in the document. So write stuff from the most used to the rarely used parts to help the user find whatever they're looking for. Concept versus tasks. Think about what your audience wants. If they want to know something, concepts, then write about information, background, explanations, reasoning, intentions. But if they want to do something, tasks, concept versus task, yeah. So they want to have like a how-to, and don't confuse the two. If you know that the user needs to do something, have a how-to, and then just a link if you want to read further, XYZ. So just help your user get to whatever they need as quick as possible. And the last section is share the document that you write with others, because we want to make sure that what we wrote is clear and concise and helpful, right? Maybe we missed some parts that for us are straightforward, and for others, I don't get it. What did you do there? So feedback is important to help make understand if the document is really helpful and clear. Don't try to read this slide, okay? It's purely for taking picture purposes. If you do want to perfect your English, if you do want to have a high quality English when you write documents, these are some tips that I gathered from an actual technical writer, Joshua Schulgasser from my company. So if you want to do it, these are the tips. So basically that's it. And if you say, hey, I'm not a technical writer and I actually don't understand whatever you just said here because you talk very, very quickly, have at least this golden rule in mind. Provide readers with the information they need and send them back to their task as soon as possible. Documentation should be clear, simple, and to the point. Whatever you write is useful and helpful as long as it is concise and clear. And a simple tip for managers, if you do want to make sure documentation is part of the day-to-day, make it an integral part of the task, aka the task definition of done is once documentation was added. So I hope that after this short presentation, you can now say, or you will aim to say, that your code is well documented. Thank you so much.